Let's see, does this game with stream lag or the game lag because I'm streaming? I'm testing this out. That's what I'll find out in this stream. Okay. Well, the loading time is... Well, I can't blame the lag for that. That's just me contacting... Okay. So I know nothing about this game. I heard there was a patch that everyone hates, but who knows? Well, I hate this game regardless, or like this game. That's why I need to find out. La 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 la. Switch spells, cast spell, use item. Oh, come on! Okay, this seems like controls to make. Okay. My PC is requirements apparently don't mean it, so yeah. That's why I try this game. I get the VRAM 6, my one's 4. That's why I also... Yeah, I used to also have a lot of terabytes I never use on my internet, so this might be a good way to actually make me want to restrain myself a bit. Story looks nice enough. Graphics seems to be doing okay. How am I doing on the stream? Any lag? Nope, so far no lag.
Why else would he be coming up here day in and day out?
Okay, it's not too bad so far. Dash. Okay. Still trying what this. Oh wait. I need to start using the items now. Okay, so cast spell. Blocking. Okay, this is going to take a while to get used to, so I might play this game. Get used to this now. Frames per second is nice. Okay, got one viewer here. Pick up. This game looks like another Soul style game here. Hopefully I can play this in small doses so that I don't get addicted like Sekiro. Okay, that's an item. Medicine residue. Let's go here. This is actually nice so far. The stream here. I need to check my data use.
back at last.
You know me?
Got amnesia, I'm guessing.
Why am I here?
I came upon you in a brooklet some days past. You lay passed out due to the feathering. I moved you to the cave to recuperate.
The feathering.
I see. Know you not. A man-eating fiend attacked Worship's Rise 6 moons ago, spreading unthinkable horrors, after which many bore feathers on their bodies. A malady unlike any other, without hope of a cure. I found this silk manuscript on your person. Here, take it.
Where is it?
Should you have other concerns, pray. My Taoist name is Xuanyang, sir. Should you have other concerns, pray. Speak that this is the Reverend. This temple was used by Buddhists. It was thanks to the officials. We have barely managed. Should you have other concerns, you are experienced. The afflicted slowly lose their memories. It begins in the limbs.
Oh wow.
Sprouting feathers. Most victims endure unbearable agony. Judging by how you look, you should count your... You may not be able to recall, but from what I gathered when I rescued you, it seems you were now that you have contracted this disease and have those blue feathers on your arm. You may not be able, from what I... Now that you have...
Yeah, okay. I already wasted that. Silk. Now what? Yeah, destroying Bros statue would not be too bad here.
Unworthy of the name of our happy Spain.
You're awake. The old Taoist mentioned your encounter with that demon, but your arm, the feathering's a nasty curse. With your skills, maybe you should check out the Shu Sanctum.
Most people have to be carried out of the Reverend Temple. You, though, you get to walk out on your own. 宣扬子 may be hard. Most people have to. Xuanyangzi may be harsh with some of the worship's rise folk came here. I am Tao Ting, just a humble merchant seeking refuge. Smooth to the touch. Oh, but don't worry. I won't be tempted. This place is no paradise for a merchant. I'm thinking I can trade with you, of course. It would be an honor. Some thieves from Annalum stole my family's heirloom. An ancient landscape painting. You can find Annalum by taking the side entrance from the stage. Once you've retrieved the painting, meet me at the shoe sanctum.
Okay, League. I know where I'm going. Oh.
Thieves stole everything. Everything got taken away.
Offer blood. Where did I offer blood? Yeah. This where you offer blood? Okay. Oh wow. Bullshit. Oh, okay, so this is the considering I didn't even, fight anyone. So this is how I can restore HP. Also restores that.
I saw the old Taoist feathers. I've been stuck here. Heard the priests at the shoe sanctum might have something. If you're still kicking, you might want to head to the sanctum. There could be.
First, feathers start growing on your arms. Lucky for me, Xiangyanzi brought me to the Reverend Temple. Your symptoms are lighter than mine. It's utter chaos out there.
Eventually, silence will probably gonna be less common, but I'm really stingy. Let's check the bells here.
Well, look who's back. Feeling lost, are we? Now, about the power. Don't believe me, eh? How about I introduce you to someone worthy? Don't call me cruel. You know how it goes. No sweet dreams without crushing a few nightmares first.
By you. The belt pinwheel.
Oh my gosh. That was like painful. Well, I'm gonna suck at this game, aren't I? Okay, this is a game I'm probably gonna try finish once and hopefully. I heard that long soul's. Okay, that's all okay.
Time's long gone.
What the heck? They get one chance only. Oh well. Wow, I really suck this game right now. The block button is annoying, so I'm used to just attacking.
Time's long gone.
Okay, I died. I don't think I was designed to fight this guy yet. He's way too OP. Okay, that was a bit lag there for a second. Otherwise, it's fine. I should get my guy in warnings on my stream. No warnings that it's lagged at all. That's a good sign. Game's lagging a bit. Okay, this might be. Oh well. It doesn't lag, but it feels like I'm just moving when I'm not supposed to be.
Okay. Over here. Your arm. What's happened? It's me, He Yuzai. You wrote to me about searching Worship's Rise for clues about Bar Yu. Bar Yu, your sister, or your arm. The old boatman spoke true. They say it leads to memory loss. And fortunately, you can still speak for now. I scouted the Shu Sanctum a few days past. Aside from a deranged towers to the entrance, see the Light's End Temple? The way to the Shu Sanctum lies beside it. But the bridge has collapsed. You will need to find a way around. But be careful. If you encounter danger, don't fight. I'll follow your trail and find you.
Monster!
How can this...
Need to practice dodging. See? The game's lagging now. Okay, so this is not perfect. Hope he doesn't do this. Okay, game's just lagging now. Count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I could theoretically just do this on console later on, but yeah, I don't want to. Ah, what the heck's going on here?
Others almost would have lost their minds by now. The power of feathering runs through that arm. How you managed to contain it, I don't know. But make no mistake. Yes, that here. Take this. Let's see if you...
anyway, so. Wow, they were holding people like that. Evil. Let's see. Let's go here, 26 minutes. Worship here. Yep. I'm sick of reset selects now. Maybe I need to use it to get that. Equipment, inventory. Now what? I get this. Wait, what? I feel like this should not be a save point. There should be something point to this. That was a save point! No! Oh, that's a painful death, yeah. Huh. Oh, that's the thing, okay. Now what? Okay, the game just lagged again. Okay, just a sec, guys. So yeah, this is definitely not perfect. It happens randomly. Oh man, this thing's on. No. Okay.
Long gone. Judgment falls!
Practice being this guy. This looks more. Okay. So it's just using it all on my net. Okay. I really want to try this game out more fairly though. Ah! So On a good day, it doesn't lag too much. I don't know what's watching. I don't see if it was worse when I did full screen. Graphics, toggle full screen. Let's go now. Does it play better when I'm on full screen? I mean, easy to see, obviously, but. Well, this is actually more smoother, yeah, full screen, but you guys won't be able to see what I'm doing. I won't be able to see your comments, though. Oh wow. Well, that was a good training though. Okay, yeah, I still get lag even with full screen here. Ah! Okay, guys, you see what I see? Just walking up here. It's still in beta, so I guess see why it's not the best here. Okay. Ah! Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna call it a day after this. Since I'm on Game Pass, I might just use to play on console. If I can just stream automatically to YouTube, I'll be doing console more often. Yeah, that was like crazy here. The graphics also don't look the best here. Hopefully I have cloud savings in this thing. So yeah, I got one view anyway. Yeah, I would not really recommend this. Oh, what the heck? Don't tell me this thing. Oh. Screen at one point. Oh no, that's because of. Okay, doesn't matter. I get exiting this soon anyway. Good game. Might do this for metaphor though. Here's the link. It just really. Stream. We're talking about if. Yeah, that's what Nate. We're going back now. Games of 40 years.
The PlayStation 2 classic Metal Gear Solid 2 was once my favorite game, or at least in the top 10. In 2017, I made an hour and 42-minute video talking about why. Most of that time was spent telling you what happened in the game, scene by scene. That's neither here nor there. I certainly don't have any shortage of experience as Metal Gear Solid 2 at this point. I've played this game front to back well over 10 times, and many of those playthroughs came from when I had a kick playing Metal Gear series in progressively higher and higher difficulties until I did a European Extreme Mode run. So MGS2 is a game that I have had a lot of playtime in, definitely over 100 hours, but that was a long time ago. Like I established before, the Metal Gear series and I do not have the same relationship we used to. In the previous video, I discussed how I relate to MGS1 and its remake, The Twin Snakes, now that years have passed since I was last a super fan. I didn't really have a take far off from the mainstream, beyond just thinking MGS1's gameplay was never really that great, but MGS2 is a different story. Most everyone knows that when MGS2 was a newer game, it was a little more divisive. The game was a critical darling and a huge financial success, and is still the all-time best-selling Metal Gear game. If you had a PS2 in 2001, this was one of the must-own games, which is saying a lot because there were many of those at the time. But for fans of Metal Gear Solid, the story of MGS2 was more of a question mark. It just being about themes and ideas that nobody was expecting. The ride and bait and switch not helping matters. Time has been kind to MGS2 as it's pretty widely regarded as a masterpiece by the online gaming populace, which is what makes this video scary for me because I have a lot to say, but I don't like getting in trouble with the comments section. It will always be a game that means a lot to me, a game that has shaped my history as a game-playing enthusiast and as a content creator on YouTube, and a game that has shaped the course of gaming history. I keep a framed poster of it on my wall for a reason, not just because Yoji Shinkawa is one of the best artists in gaming, but because every framed game on this wall has had some kind of a meaningful impact on me creatively. MGS2 holds that space in my mind, no matter how much my opinion on the game itself has shifted. There was a time a few years ago, 2021 I think, where I was replaying Twin Snakes, MGS2, and MGS3, and in MGS2's case, there was a point where I was like, wait, do I not like this game anymore? It was pretty shocking, given the fact that I devoted so much time of my life to telling the world why it was the greatest shit since sliced bread. I can get into what that moment was later in the video, because it wasn't an immediate reaction. That's because the Tanker chapter remains one of the best openings in any game I've played. The game is divided into two segments, the Tanker, which is a brief prologue where you play as Solid Snake, and the Plant chapter where you play as Raiden in the Big Shell, which is the bulk of the game. But I've always been blown away by the Tanker mission, and that's still the case now. Solid Snake, with the help of Otacon, boards a dummy tanker under the control of the U.S. Marine Corps in the hopes of finding proof that a new Metal Gear is under development. An amphibious model called Metal Gear Ray, meant to wipe the floor with all the other dummy knockoff Metal Gears that flooded the market after Revolver Ocelot leaked the specs for MG Rex following the Shadow Moses incident in MGS1. Otacon and Snake work together to destroy Metal Gear whenever it pops up. But the tanker is quickly taken over by Russian forces who hijack the ship trying to steal Metal Gear Ray, and it's up to Snake to sneak through this army equipped with nothing but sleep darts to prove that Metal Gear Ray exists before it gets stolen, which is a quick and effective setup. I'm just a sucker for what I refer to in my videos as next-generation appeal. It's when I'm impressed by design teams clearly showing off what they can do with new hardware, and MGS2 is no different in how it used the PS2 to flex their technical skills. The opening cutscene is dripping with suspense. You know, the rain looks great, this depiction of the George Washington Bridge looks way more realistic than anything you'd get on PS1, and then seeing this many cars and lights fly by was no doubt stunning in 2001. And you can see Snake's face fully modeled, but you can never see it up close in this scene because they want to make you wait for it. That doesn't come until the title drop a few moments later. But then, the gameplay itself features many tech demos. The rain and water look stellar, you can break glass bottles and glass windows, the gameplay is 60 frames per second and never had any issues maintaining that even when the action's more frantic. MGS2 is a technically marvelous game. And then it's also a wonderful tutorial. The game teaches you the new mechanics like first-person aiming in a cutscene that feels really natural, and you're quickly funneled into areas with lockers to show you how that works, and subtly encouraging you to stuff knocked-out guards in them since enemies don't disappear upon death in this game. I don't have any footage of that because at this point I'm just fast-paced when I play the games, so I either knock dudes out, kill them, and run to the next area before anyone notices, or I get caught and roll with the punches and can reliably get away somewhat quickly. But anyway, the tanker has expert-level design. The player has a lot more tools at their disposal, but it never feels OP or broken. For example, the M9 doesn't have the ability to destroy cameras, so when you come across one, you either need to make use of a chaff grenade or you have to time your movement so that you can get under the blind spot and not get caught. Even when Snake does get a USP, you won't be able to go around blasting it since the enemy forces are numerous and you don't have a suppressor for this gun that makes quite a racket. There are countless ways to explore the tanker, nooks and crannies that are totally optional to look through, Easter eggs are in abundance, and that all makes it really fun to replay over and over again.
Park again? But I brush every night with my ordinary paste. I'm stuck in a cycle.
Let's break the cycle. Try Oral-B Overnight Protect toothpaste. Its stannous fluoride neutralizes plaque overnight, so you wake up with superior plaque protection. Break the cycle with Oral-B.
Flight Center, your center for travel.
It's a level that's very accommodating for a slower, methodical approach and also a speedy, experienced approach. It has its own sense of isolating atmosphere as you're alone in this giant boat filled with enemies, and there's a sense of urgency in the mission since Snake needs to get to Metal Gear before the tanker passes the Verrazano Bridge, since Otacon said that was where the rendezvous point was. And many of the music tracks in the tanker chapter sell the dangerous vibe, like the Dead Crew theme or the Evasion theme. The boss fight with Snake and Olga Gurlukovich, the daughter of the Russian leader, was the best boss in the series thus far. It's equal parts tech demo and gameplay tutorial wrapped up in an exciting set piece. On your first run, Olga will use the environment to her advantage by blinding you with these lights and then creating cover for herself with this sheet. But when the boss begins, you can shoot out the light so she can't use it, and you can shoot the cover away so she can never use that either. And then it's a stealth boss, as she'll shoot where she last saw you, something you can use to your advantage. And you can put first-person aiming to the test here in a variety of ways by shooting her from various unorthodox angles, something you need to do on higher difficulties. It's a really satisfying part of the game. Once you reach the holds, you hear an announcement that you've passed the Verrazano Bridge, so who knows what kind of shit's gonna go down, how Snake's gonna escape this one. But I still made time to shoot out the lights to make the hallway darker. Thought that was a cool attention to detail. The final boss of the tanker chapter is an enemy rush before Snake makes it to Metal Gear Ray. It's another part that uses first-person aiming well, as the enemies are numerous and overwhelming, but if you time your headshots well, you will prevail. In the final gameplay segments, there's reward for curiosity and replay value again, as you can avoid this stealth section around the Marines completely by finding this hidden vent that allows you to crawl right to Metal Gear completely undetected, bringing one of the highlights of the Metal Gear series to a close as you take photos of MG Ray. Unfortunately, that leads to a cutscene that is really great for the most part, but it's also the moment the Metal Gear series was changed forever and not in a way that was super compelling. What is great is how Ocelot shows up to take Ray and reveals he was double-crossing Colonel Gerlukovich, someone he claimed to be aligned with in MGS1, but he was also a spy amongst Liquid's ranks in that game as well, so his true allegiance being a never-ending mystery makes him a great villain to watch. But the scene is pretty much when Metal Gear jumped the shark once Ocelot mentions he's working for the Patriots, otherwise known as the Lalilulelo. I consider it a shark-jumping moment because the conspiracy of the Patriots, explained later in the story, becomes the thing the entire Metal Gear saga revolves around, bending itself over backwards and near constant retcons in every game to try and find a way to turn these events into a fully planned ongoing saga from game to game that makes sense. And the various attempts that each game came up with just don't really work for me. I don't think it was well done or made for a believable saga. Within the confines of MGS2, I think the Patriots are a fine enough narrative element and threat, which I can get back to later, so I can certainly explain in more depth why I think the Grand Conspiracy essentially killed the series in a video on MGS4, if anybody wants that. As of now, I only planned on talking about MGS 1 through 3 again, but if the people want more of the Metal Gear Revisited series, I can make more. But yeah, the ongoing conspiracy plotline of the series begins in this scene, but what also begins here is one of the dumbest plotlines in the series. Ocelot lost his hand in MGS1 to Gray Fox. Liquid died at the end of the game, so in MGS2, Ocelot has a new hand that was grafted onto his body. The hand was Liquid Snake's. So again, just sticking to MGS2, forget what MGS4 tells you, when Solid Snake is near Ocelot, the spirit of Liquid takes over Ocelot's body and he just becomes Liquid, voice and all.
But I live on through this arm!
Obviously, weird supernatural shit is not unusual in the Metal Gear Solid games, but Liquid Ocelot just feels like such an asshole that makes no sense, and is only relevant in the story for 2 scenes, and thus adds very little in this game. I feel like they just liked Liquid as a villain and foil for Snake, and having killed him off was something they considered a mistake, so his fucking ghost takes over Ocelot via his arm. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. MGS villains having insane superpowers feels believable in universe, but that sentence I just said, Liquid's ghost possessing Ocelot and giving him Liquid's voice via his arm, it just sounds really stupid, and when you watch it, it feels pretty dumb as well, and on the replay, it feels really unnecessary. It just reeks of not being confident in the story that they had, since they bring Liquid back in this contrived way, and it begins a long-standing tradition of Metal Gear games making up anything to keep the saga going. But that's the end of the tanker chapter. Liquid Ocelot escapes with Metal Gear Ray to link up with Solid as Snake, who Ocelot is still working with. As Snake's fate is left unknown. The real game begins 2 years later. The tanker's destruction caused a big oil spill, and an offshore cleanup facility called the Big Shell was created to contain and eliminate the issue. The President makes an appearance at the Big Shell, but that's when a terrorist unit called Dead Cell takes over the facility. Fortune, Vamp, and Fat Man led by Solid as Snake and Revolver Ocelot. At their disposal are the Russian forces that have, under the command of Olga, become an army for hire after the tanker incident. The terrorists demand that the government turn over $30 billion in exchange for the president, or they'll blow up the Big Shell and release the toxins in the water, creating an environmental catastrophe. Foxhound sends in rookie agent Raiden to infiltrate the Big Shell, rescue the president, and stop Dead Cell. As everyone should know by now, this is the moment that divided the audience back in 2001, because in no part of the game's marketing were you told you were only going to be Snake for a brief bit. The entire campaign was showing Snake in the tanker mission. It was a complete bait and switch. Many fans just did not like Raiden as a character and wanted to keep following the exploits of Solid Snake. Nowadays, people are pretty fond of Raiden. His being the main character of 2013's Metal Gear Rising certainly helped, since that game was pretty dope. But that was also around the time when the MGS HD collection came out and people could replay and reassess MGS2. I didn't have a problem with the Switch when I first played the game since I already knew it was coming. You know, it's the same gameplay, and I think the gameplay mechanics of MGS2 are enjoyable, as the Tanker chapter showed. However, it was starting in 2021 I had a problem with the Big Shell chapter that I've had in every replay of MGS2 I've done since then. Throughout the whole thing, I was waiting for the fun part, and it never came. This is where the video will take a different turn, and I'll try to explain what is a relatively hot take to the best of my ability. But I mean every word. I used to praise the living daylights out of MGS2 and its gameplay and pacing, and I would say go watch those old videos for proof, but since most of them are private or unlisted, you can just take my word for it. By 2021, I stopped giving a shit about the story of Metal Gear and just wanted to replay the games for the gameplay, MGS2 being one of my favorites, so I was playing and waiting for it to become the awesome game I remembered, and that moment just never came.
There's nothing like summer in New York City. And when the plot twists, we can choose to embrace a new chapter.
Lipo sachets are gel-based vitamins that use nano-sized liposomal technology to deliver...
I was really bored of it, and that has remained to this day. In the previous video, I was able to look past the gameplay flaws of MGS1 and see that when you play the game with the cutscenes, it is an exciting game to play through with a gripping story. A story connected by boss fights and atmospheric locations. MGS1 just clicks together really well. Now, on this run, where I rewatched the cutscenes of MGS2 for the first time in years, I do not think MGS2 does. The first hour of the plant chapter is really boring. The pacing feels wrong in general, because by this point in the game you've already been playing for about 90 minutes. The Tanker episode also ended on an exciting moment and cliffhanger. The story fades to black and reopens 2 years later with an entirely different character and status quo, so the story effectively stops dead in its tracks and starts over again, which makes it feel really slow and boring. But then nothing really happens except Raiden getting codec calls and having info explained to him for lengthy stretches of time. There were a lot of cutscenes in the first hour of MGS1, but let me break it down. Within the first hour of gameplay, with cutscenes, mind you, Snake had made it to the elevator of the cavern, you made it inside the facility by sneaking through the heliport, you crawled through the vents, found your way to the elevator, attempted to rescue the DARPA chief, escaped the cell with Meryl, found the tools to break through the walls in the basement, and tried to rescue the Armtech president, fought Revolver Ocelot, and made it back to the tank hangar. That's all in an hour. Already, you've done a lot of sneaking, exploring, and set pieces while watching cutscenes. In the first hour of playing as Raiden, you made it to the elevator, which, from the moment the story begins to the moment you reach the elevator, takes 20 minutes. You avoided some very basic enemies, found an M9, watched a really long cutscene where Vamp is introduced but with no gameplay to back it up, walked through more empty rooms and found Peter Stillman and are told via a very long cutscene what you need to do to disarm bombs. Notice how, compared to MGS1 or the Tanker episode, that's like nothing. The guards you do have to avoid don't feel that satisfying to get past because you've already learned the sneaking basics in the Tanker episode. So I was left sitting there for the first hour, bored out of my mind because I've played this game a dozen times already. So when the gameplay is basically nothing but walking to the next cutscene, it's then on the story to maintain my interest on a revisit. A story that, mind you, I haven't watched all the way through in 6 years. But here's the issue. That wasn't pulling much weight either at the start of the game. Raiden is backed up by the Colonel and his girlfriend, Rose. Those are the only people on Raiden's support team, unlike the cast of colorful characters Snake got to interact with in MGS1. Raiden has no rapport with the Colonel, unlike Snake, and he and Rose do very little else besides get into debates about their relationship that the audience has little reason to be invested in at this point in the story, like wondering if he remembers what day tomorrow is and him saying no. But that's not even the issue, and the problem is Raiden himself. Towards the start, you might get the idea that he's some kind of try-hard dork.
There's a terminal in front of the elevator. A node.
Did you say nerd?
Not nerd. Node.
Oh.
But that's not the case, since he doesn't say anything like that for the rest of the game. No, instead, the talking point I often hear about why Raiden is a genius character is because he's effectively the anti-Snake. Not only are you not playing as the badass and lovable dude from the first game, you're playing as somebody who's the opposite. But for me, therein lies the issue. When you're following a character who is meant to be the opposite of cool, charismatic, funny, witty, and tough, you get a protagonist who has no personality at all and has all the charisma of a black hole. You can say it was intentional or leading to the third act twist all you want, but the problem is that he's not interesting to watch. The only moments of character I felt like he had was when he was complaining about how insane the mission was.
Make it quick.
Who are they? Dead Cell, I mean. They couldn't hit her no matter how hard they tried. And that vampire, too, it's like... It's like being in a nightmare you can't wake up from.
Jack, snap out of it.
And you, Rose, I can't believe you're on this mission. I keep thinking I'll wake up.
Raiden, this is real. And that's why you won't wake up.
But nothing seems real.
But still, that doesn't make him feel like a relatable or interesting character to me since he's basically a blank slate. Which is something he does on purpose. I tried saving my game and I was rewarded with multiple minutes of Rose saying she wished Raiden would let her in and how he has so little personal life that his room has nothing in it. No photos, no posters, no nothing. That plays into the plotline at the end of the game, but I'm just saying that for the majority of the game, I do not find him interesting to watch. His whole deal is that he was trained by a VR regimen only, with no field experience prior to this. Interesting commentary about the way video games are used as military recruitment propaganda, but I don't care about Raiden at the beginning of the game because he doesn't give you anything to care about. The only interesting plot lines are that Snake and Otacon have also raided the Big Shell and are up to something we don't know yet because Snake is running around calling himself Pliskin, and a skinny techie was reported as getting onto the Big Shell alongside SEAL Team 10. Pliskin is pretty obviously Snake. The writers were not trying to fool you at all. Instead, you're just left wondering what's going on that's brought Snake here. But now we just see Snake through the eyes of a character with no personality, and it does make me want to play as Snake some more. Another interesting plotline is that Snake asks Raiden if he's Foxhound, but then informs him that Foxhound was disbanded 4 years ago. The first moment where Raiden's mission and objective should seem suspicious, but you don't really have time to focus on that because next up is a long cutscene of the SEALs getting decimated by Fortune and the President being taken away by Vamp. Then Raiden and Snake are introduced to Peter Stillman, bomb disposal expert. Batman has placed explosives all over the Big Shell and the heroes need to stop it. This cutscene had that issue from MGS1 where it goes on for a few minutes, which is acceptable, but then it teaches you how to stop bombs with coolant spray. Naturally, you then pick up the controller ready to get back to the game, and you're then made to watch several more minutes of story. But hey, once the bomb disposal mission begins an hour into Raiden's campaign, the game becomes a little more about gameplay. Which is where I was hoping things would become as fun as I remembered, but that moment didn't happen either.
Your back molars are at risk of cavities with the manual brush. Be like Dr. Rob. He switched to Oral-B Each round brush head hugs each tooth to clean even your back molars to remove up to 100% more plaque. Oral-B Electric runs circles around cavities.
We said no secrets. You have a brother.
Oh, yeah. On your marks.
Get set. Bake.
Delicious.
The Big Shell is 2 giant hexagons that are made up of 6 smaller hexagons. The smaller hexagons are called struts, with bridges connecting each one. In the middle is the core. There's Shell 1 at the bottom of the map and Shell 2 at the top. Snake goes to take care of the bombs on Shell 2, and it's up to Raiden to shut down the bombs on Shell 1. While I enjoy the gameplay of MGS2 on its own, the way it's used in the plant chapter does not keep me super engaged with the gameplay loop. First, I have little annoyances with it, like how to use the Soliton radar in every room, you need to first activate it by finding a computer somewhere in each strut to turn the radar on. Once you do, it's active in that room for the rest of the game. Some areas, like this box room, make it a challenge to reach that computer. Others, like the sediment pool, make it pretty easy. So it just feels to me like an extra step added to the game for not much of a reason. But then the way the game is paced just feels really slow at the start. Backtracking was the worst part of Metal Gear 2 and Metal Gear Solid 1, and the Big Shell almost doubles down on this problem. The whole point of this bomb disposal mission is just running back and forth between the areas. The struts and their connecting bridges just don't have much in the way of exciting stealth action. In the sediment pool, or the Vamp intro room, or Strut A, I just picked everybody off with the M9, found the bomb, and kept moving. The armory was a bit more of a challenge, but ultimately it just felt like I was running back and forth, not really doing much in terms of engaging gameplay. And I was playing on hard mode, if anyone was curious. The game really gets all the backtracking it can out of you. I made sure to do Strut A last, because I knew you'd have to run back to Strut A for the final surprise bomb. Then what I forgot was that you need a special sensor for it, you need to run all the way back to Strut C to get it, and then all the way back to Strut A to get on the elevator. The elevator won't come unless you get the sensor, even if you already know where the last bomb is. After the Shell 1 core part, you need to head to Shell 2 for the Harrier boss. To get from the Shell 1 core to Shell 2, you have to go through Struts E and D, but I forgot the PSG-1, which is required to get through this segment, so I had to run back through Strut D, Strut E, and Strut F to get the PSG-1 and go all the way back to the Shell 1-2 connecting bridge. That one was more on me for forgetting, but can you see what I mean? Like, I don't find the Big Shell fun to run around. It's easy rooms and backtracking through those easy rooms to disarm bombs by spraying them with cooling spray. What riveting gameplay. More thrilling content emerges when Fortune battles Raiden after the last bomb is disposed of. Fortune's gimmick is that she can't be shot with bullets, so all Raiden can do in this boss fight is run back and forth and dodge blasts from her railgun. To be fair and balanced, On the highest difficulties, this is a pretty tense encounter, but even here on hard mode, I was left starting to yawn because nothing is happening. After that, you get the first real boss where Raiden fights Batman. This is a great one. Raiden needs to disarm bombs mid-fight with a small time limit and deal with Batman between them. Shooting his roller skates with your gun is really satisfying and takes timing skills to do. Or you can just lay claymore traps for him to skate onto, so there's variety and stealth elements, so it's a great boss for those reasons. Raiden then has to make it into the Shell 1 core using a disguise he got from a cyborg ninja and an AK he had to run back to the armory for.
Alright.
Gameplay-wise, the Shell 1 core is alright. Like, I just can't fault it too much because I already know what to do. Having the disguise and looking around for a directional microphone is fine Metal Gear gameplay, and using the directional mic to listen in on Solidus and Ocelot's conversation makes an expository scene feel a little more interactive, so I can give props to that. But most of your time here is spent on Ames telling Raiden that there is no $30 billion ransom and that the nuclear strike is the goal, not a threat. Before he gets a fox die-like death, causing Raiden to question the Colonel like Snake did in MGS1 before continuing to follow orders, leading to the Harrier boss fight. This scene is the one where we find out that the villain is Solidus Snake, the third and perfect clone of Big Boss, and it's also when Snake and Otacon reveal themselves to Raiden. The Harrier boss is a lot of fun, way more dynamic than the Hind fight since you'll have a lot of opportunities to dodge a plethora of attacks, and get to do cool tricks, like using the hanging mode as a way to make yourself temporarily invincible. Or when he's trying to boil you with the exhaust, you can use the RGB launcher to do a lot of damage in the under part of the jet. So that was another great moment. As per usual with this game, the parts that involve Snake are the narrative's best material. Snake just having learned so much in MGS1, and that carries forward in MGS2. When Raiden is having a crisis of faith and wondering why he's even fighting here at all, when Snake is willingly putting himself into these situations.
I'm here because I was assigned to this mission, not because I want to. If I could, I'd be out of here in a second. How could you come back to all this? Why keep fighting?
There's something my best friend said to me once.
What?
We're not tools of the government or anyone else. Fighting was the only thing I was good at, but at least I always fought for what I believed in.
It also pays off mysteries from earlier, like how Rose tells Raiden that Snake's body was found in the water, but his right arm was missing. People paying attention might theorize that it was Liquid's body because of Ocelot taking Liquid's arm. Snake and Otacon confirming that was the trick they pulled to fake Snake's death after he was blamed for the tanker incident. You also get more suspicious of the Colonel when he just snaps at Raiden for this moment.
I don't understand. I read about you and Snake in the Darkness of Shadow Moses.
I don't give a damn what that piece of trash said. Do you get me?
Like that just felt super out of character for him. But then the relationship Raiden starts building with Snake and Otacon is a nice feeling as you play. Like this was a dangerous solo sneaking mission like previous games, but Raiden now has Solid Snake and Otacon watching his back. Real people who have a stake in the mission too. When the Colonel and Rose are people he was having weird interactions with from moment one, so the mission feels less lonely by this point. But Shell 2, I have to say, this is where I had the epiphany moment of not really enjoying this game back in 2021. You'd think that there was a lot of game left, because Shell 2 has gone unexplored up until now, however you'd be wrong. The game is almost over because Shell 2 doesn't really exist. I believe much of the content they planned on putting in Shell 2 just got cut from the game. Bombs went off when Snake was trying to get them all in Shell 2 earlier in the story, so Raiden only explores the Shell 2 core and none of the struts of Shell 2. But the Shell 2 core is not filled with interesting stealth action gameplay, it's more nothing. Like rooms with almost no guards in them. Swimming to find the missile launcher and using it to open the door to the President, and then going to find Otacon's sister, Emma Emmerich, in hopes that she can help the heroes shut down the AI that's powering Arsenal Gear. But to do that, you swim. Yeah, that's alright. And you fight Vamp, and this is another fantastic boss fight. Really puts first-person aiming to great use as he's a fast-moving target that goes up and down around you. And it's super satisfying to get all the damage on him that you can by shooting him when he's underwater or by blasting him with the RGB when he lands in the ground. Great fight. But then comes the Emma rescue mission. Something I often hear is that, unlike other story-heavy modern games, at least the Metal Gear games were about gameplay when you weren't watching those cutscenes. And like, this is the game you're referring to?